biggest challenge is everyone wants to put you into a genre or a particular category as a band. And I think people are going to listen to this album and say, this is this genre, it's this category. I never really felt like we could, if you ask me how I felt last year, I'm never going to say I felt sad last year, I felt excited last year, I was aroused last year. I mean, I don't feel like as a human being, as an individual, I can say I feel this way all the time, so therefore I am this category. How could you say I feel this way all of the time? How could you say I am an indie band, I am jazz band? I mean, it's whatever you're feeling at the time. So that was a very, very difficult thing, I think, with this album. A big challenge is not to be afraid of falling into a particular category while we were performing or while we were writing. And also, as Charles said, the amount of time we spent actually writing the stuff was so long. I think by the end we were it was probably close to poison, the music. And we just...
How do you want people to listen to or receive this album?
I don't know, like honestly it feels like the albums that I have the strongest emotional connection with are albums that I listen to like driving to work or during a commute. So I guess that's how I'd like people to listen to this album. Because most people spend time driving to work that they don't want to go to, or driving to school if they don't want to go to. So if this can make your drive a little easier.
I think that if people are able to take the time to sit down and listen to the album from front to back as a complete picture or a film, it very much was recorded with the intention of being a story and a film. And
I think it is very important that somebody set aside, an hour, 10 minutes of their time when they get the album and just kind of like lie down and listen to it from start to end. That's definitely the way we conceived it, and I would hope that people would appreciate that sort of concept and really get into it that way.
the album has something that every one of us can relate to, no matter who you are.
I think the kind of music it is, it takes a while for it to absorb into people when they first hear it. It's not typical indie rock, nor is it typical mainstream, nor is it typical, anything really. It's its own thing, so.
What was your favorite moment in the recording of the album?
At last, and I don't know if it was the heroin or the Red Bull. But I felt like in that particular moment, Miguel, Charles, and I, Jeff, the three of us screamed. Charles, I don't know if you did, or maybe inside you did, but it felt like that last build-up was definitely the end of. It made sense. It was the last song of the set and of the album, and it really felt like that was it. Everything we had worked so hard for was done on that last kind of note, and it seemed like a great achievement, and at the same time was kind of sad. But that was definitely my favorite part, was that in the studio and then recording that song.
Probably one of my favorite moments was when I was cutting my vocal tracks the next day, and I'm by myself in that room, and I got to hear everything we had just done and think back to those memories of what it looked like and what it sounded like in the room. And it was funny, I kept getting distracted while I was recording my vocal parts because I kept listening back to what it was we had just done, and I was so excited about it. And there's definitely a sense that we finally got to let go of that. And it's weird, simultaneously feeling like you gave birth to something and it's the death of something. That's a very strange feeling. So
my favorite point of this whole process of recording is kind of the same as my favorite point in the writing process where you listen back to something for the first time. Like my favorite moments, we record ourselves all the time. Probably too much. Listen, but when you're working on new things, it helps a lot. You listen back to a practice and you remember doing it, but then you listen back and you're like, wow, that it really does work and sound good, and you just get so exciting. I think for me, when we got the first mix back, just listening to it, and you always have this idea of what you want it to sound like in your head and like what you imagine it could be. And for us, it was always like what it could be. Like it could sound this good. You could do this, and to listen back to it and sort of listen to something you'd imagined for all these years unfold for real. Like it really does sound raw and huge and just the way we wanted it to sound. Sort of, I mean, that to me is the most incredible part. Just, I mean, even having it sound better than I'd imagined in a lot of ways. Just,
I made something, I participated in something that I was proud of. I was finally proud of something. And I thought, wow, this is new. This is a new chapter of my life. So I guess that's also my favorite part. Well, that's mine too. But you know, it's
wrap it up.
I played bass and I sang. What more do you want? I can look back and go, yeah, that was where I was. Something I can show my children. Something I can show my grandchildren, my friends. And they don't even have to like it. They could just say, whatever. And I'll be like, that's fine. It's a photograph.
We would like to say a special gracias to our family, fans, amigos, Jim Kisley, Jordan Keller, Jeff Davis, Jordan Wolf, and Lance Jones. Muchas gracias.